Guys, welcome back to another week of Autastic, your comedian's guide to autism. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Kirk Smith. My co-host and buddy
Graham K. Welcome back to another episode.
Boom.
It's been a while. We're on our summer schedule. Kirk, you're working a lot, but I'm working too much.
You're working a lot too.
I'm working way too much.
Got your hands full.
Yeah, I do. And I am back in the city. So is Kirk. Can't believe we're overlapping.
It's great. It's good to be back. It's 120 degrees, it feels like, outside. I'm
Yeah.
sweating like a hussy in church.
Yeah.
And we're doing it.
A hussy in church.
That's a clean version of that old Texas saying.
Yeah.
How you been, buddy? What's happening in your neck of the woods?
I'm working too much. I'm traveling. I'm traveling more than I've ever traveled before because I'm trying to make up lost income when I was recovering from my hip. Also paying for surgery, and also saving for retirement. And also, I'm a workaholic who can't turn down work. And I have a scarcity mentality I need to
I will say the
change.
nature of our business is tough because you feel like you go so many years without, and then they offer you a number, and you're like, well, for that, I have to say yes.
There is like a number you have in your head where you're like, I will say yes. And then all of a sudden you work.
And then you do it, and you feel bad.
You work hard enough to get that number. People just start offering it to you. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, I've missed the summer. It's July. I haven't gone to the beach yet. I mean, I've been to Bermuda.
And you have a car.
I've been to Bermuda alone.
For 3 days.
For 3 days.
Did you rent the little motor scooters down there?
No.
Oh.
Did I tell you the first time I rented one of those scooters? So I rent a scooter, and I go, I'm like, I'm going to take advantage of being a cruise ship comedian. Sure, you're alone a lot, but you get to go to these cool islands.
Alone.
So I rent a scooter. I'm going to go explore out of the tourist zone and see the culture.
Beautiful.
And I rent a scooter, and the guy goes, he gives me, he's like, you ever ridden a scooter before? I'm like, no. He's like, ride it around the
That
parking
little
lot.
wheel, he gives you that little...
Yeah. And then he gives me a helmet with a huge repair in it. And then
The last guy won't be needing this anymore.
no, yeah. And then
That's not good.
Then I drive off the lot, and he goes, hey man, we drive on the left side. And I'm like, what? Oh! And I have to swerve to the left.
That's really funny.
And I'm alive, barely.
You made it back.
It was scary, dude. And I went to some conch place, and everyone there hated me because it was their like refuge away from the tourist scourge.
And then you show up in your Mets hat.
And show up with a Mets hat and my red white skin, Canadian flag skin.
Well, funny thing about you being there is I was in your hometown. I did. I summer in Canada, not to brag. Spent a week in Toronto.
With
and
global
Ottawa.
warming, that's where you want to be.
Honestly, it was in the 90s.
I know, it's hot there. No one ever believes that Ottawa is hot. Ottawa goes,
And it was a little humid.
if you're Fahrenheit, it's 90 in the summer and humid. And in the winter, it's minus 25.
It's very similar to here, honestly. Very similar to New York City.
Not similar at all.
Well, I'm saying in the summer we get humid summers.
In New York City, it does not. The snow does not stick to the ground.
That's true. I meant
In the past
heat is
2
like
years, there has been no snow on the ground in New York City. The past 2 winters. Ottawa. Now, it's different there now because they used to have a canal that froze over.
Ski on.
And you could skate to work. And now you can't. But anyway.
But when I was there,
Yes.
I went out to had lunch with the infamous Peter Parker, Spider-Man, at Zach's Diner, I think it was.
He fit you into the schedule.
He's a very busy man.
He wanted you to go to a shopping mall in the suburbs.
And he was upset about that.
Away from you and also away from him. Farther away from him than it is the diner. And so I know where Kirk's staying. Kirk stays at the
Little
Absolute
Italy.
Comedy Condo in Little Italy, Ottawa, which is very little. And
6 dudes named
yeah,
Tony.
Yeah. And then, and in between Peter and them is a diner. And Peter wants to go to a mall and eat in a food court in a mall. And I'm like, Peter, don't do that. Meet him at Zach's Diner because it's hard for him to get to there. It'll be much easier for him to get to Zach's Diner. And he goes, okay. And then I talk to you 2 hours later, and I go, did you contact Pete? And he goes, yeah, I talked to him. We're going to Saint Laurent Shopping Center. I'm like, no. Hold on. The little sneaky guy lied to my face. So I go, you're going to meet at Zach's Diner. Let me call Pete. And I'm like, Pete, you're going to go to Zach's Diner. I told you. And he's like, okay, fine.
He was upset about that.
Yeah. Oh, he gets...
He feels like he's being micromanaged by Graham.
Yes, he does.
By everybody. By his mom, too.
And you know what? He is. And I would be... And to be fair, it would be frustrating. But it is... And you have to pick your spots as a loved one of someone with mid-spectrum to high-functioning spectrum in that zone.
Well, that's where it's very interesting.
You have to pick your spots.
He's
to what you let slide.
Yeah.
Because even though it's wrong for them to do the thing they're doing, you know it's wrong. Every time they lift their finger, you can't criticize because they will shut you out. And also, it would be frustrating if you were them. And that's the way their brain works. That's the way they think. So you got to pick your battles. This is one where it's like, Kirk's going to pay a $40 Uber or $30 Uber there and back, or take the Ottawa bus there.
I took the Uber.
Yeah, you're going to take the Uber. No, it's not fair for him to do that. Take the $6 Uber, the $10 Uber there and back. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very it's very interesting because, and you've talked about this before, but he's at a very interesting level. And I'll give you an update on JJ in a second. JJ is going through some frustrations, but he's an interesting level because he feels like he's being, Graham doesn't have to decide where I go to lunch. He said some version of that, which is fair, but you're not seeing what he's trying to tell you. Yeah. And then, finally we got down to, we could do it another time. This isn't the last time I'm coming back here again. We can eat somewhere else next time. It's going to be okay. And so that appeased him a little bit, but he's at an interesting level where he does need help, but he is also very aware of what he wants. Yeah. And so it's a very interesting level. For example, excuse me.
It's interesting for me to hear your perspective on Peter because I'm so in it I can't see the forest through the trees. So anyway, go on.
JJ
I love hearing this.
If I go to JJ, we're going to Zach's. He literally does not answer.
Yeah.
He just stares at me.
Yeah,
so does he understand? I don't know.
Yeah.
If I show him a picture, the big brand that we go to in Sweden is the brands of fast food in Sweden are Max. That's the best one, I think. Big Boy.
Oh, they have Big Boys out there?
Yeah, it's called Big Boy.
Is it the same Big Boy? Okay.
It's this orange lettering. And so all the pictures on my Instagram, if you see me posting pictures of JJ sadly holding a balloon, just staring at me, that's a Big Boy. We're always at Big Boy.
Big Boy likes to go to Big Boy.
That lives there, that works there. Mm-hmm. And so it's two birds. One of my big things is I'm always trying to integrate him into the lives of his family. So if something happens to me, he has a cousin that, although they're not close, she can go, oh yeah, I see him once a year. He comes into my job and I serve him a hamburger and I say hi to him. Is it ideal? No. Is it an actual friendship? I don't know. But it's something where it's like, okay, it's so Peter's way beyond that. He has an opinion. The problem he has is, it seems to me, is understanding the other person's point of view, why the other person doesn't want to do that, why the other person doesn't want to hear about the bullying story again, because we already know it. Yeah. So that's the issue. But as far as he knows what he wants, I want beer. What kind of beer? He orders a beer. I want another beer. He orders. So, in a funny way, it's like he is. I mean, he's so much more independent than JJ that it's a very interesting spot. For example, the waitress comes at the end. Mm-hmm. We're ready for the bill, and last time I paid, and so I don't remember if you remember this, but you were like, she offered to pay. So before I say anything, he goes, separate bills. Oh. So I was like, okay. So and I would have paid for. It's fine. I could have paid, but I don't want to Yeah. So I go. He's his own man.
Sure.
I'm just and the waitress is really cute girl, probably I don't know 30 maybe, And I don't know if I can call it flirting with him. Not flirting, but being friendly, but kind of flirting.
Yeah.
You know?
She gets it.
Yeah. She clearly gets it.
She's trying to make him happy.
Yes.
That's nice of her.
And she goes, yeah. I go, oh, he's his own man. You know, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just smiling. You know? And she goes, oh, I can see that. That's great. Yeah, he knows what he likes, whatever. And then what did she say? He's his own man. She said something, and she goes, yep, just like Spider-Man or something. And he holds up his belt buckle because he has a shirt on.
That's
Spider-Man.
what he says.
She goes,
just like Spider-Man.
Just like Spider-Man. Some version of that. I'm butchering it, but some version of that.
Yeah.
And he holds up his belt buckle, I think, with Spider-Man.
Yes.
He already had she's referencing the shirt.
Yeah.
Then he pulls out the hat. She's trying to flirt with him.
Yeah.
And he immediately dismisses it and is like, nope, I'm going to tell you about Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like the balance where he could have I'm not saying it's good or bad, but could have flirted with her a little bit where you're like.
Well, he's still trying to, he thinks that's flirting.
Right.
He is like, she's going to be so impressed.
Okay, but then hold on.
Yeah.
Then he goes straight to a conversation that we just had. You can call me Peter Parker Spider-Man. That's fine. But not Peter Pumpkin Eater or Peter Big Head Peter. Some version of that. I guess somebody called him Peter Pumpkinhead. I don't like being called Peter Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, okay.
But he's already told that to her?
So he's
already said the pumpkin head thing to her?
So she goes, oh, like Spider-Man. Yes, like Peter Parker Spider-Man. But not Peter Pumpkin Eater or Peter Pumpkinhead. Says like 4 pumpkin things. And she goes, okay. So he kind of shuts her down.
He already said the pumpkin head thing to her like an hour before that?
No, to me.
Oh, to her, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And shuts
so
her
he's
down.
just missing and I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just saying he's missing the little part where me and her are having a moment. Not me and her. Peter and her are having a moment.
Yeah.
And you could, say something. Oh, you're cute too. You could say anything. You could flirt back a little bit. But he doesn't
know that. He doesn't,
he doesn't know that part.
Yeah. It's different. It's my dad was always like, look, we have to realize that we're lucky because he could be in a wheelchair, nonverbal.
Yeah, nonverbal.
And
he still got to the restaurant on his own and left on his own.
And he paid for half.
And he paid for his half.
With my parents' money. But
but he understood it's in a step in the right direction. Last time he didn't even get
yes.
Kirk can pay, but I should at least offer to say.
It's nice to offer.
Yeah.
And he did, and I'm proud of him for that. He's a good man.
Yeah.
His moral compass is
he's doing his best.
Very good. But it's also like he is kind of rudderless. He's like a boat that floats, but has no.
I would say the engine's running too, but it's rudderless. So it's just kind of.
Yeah, there's no rudder.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of good things, but then it also leads itself into areas that people go, oh, like he can do this, he can do that. I know Peter's limitations, and you don't.
Yeah.
And so it's fun watching you discover.
And so like the bill, like he didn't really look at it, so it could have been.
But he can't count.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So he said $1,000. Like, sure, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, I don't look at it very often, but.
Well, for example, the tipping. I don't know if he tips. I'm like, I better tip. I'll tip on both.
Yeah, I wonder what he does.
So I'm like, I'll tip.
Sometimes now they have prompts. Maybe we could teach them to like always press.
Yeah, they clearly
15
have
or
the
something.
machine that they bring out and it has the prompts on it.
Yeah,
it's different style over there.
Yeah, they bring the machine. I like they bring the machine.
I do. It's just I was referencing that's a Canadian thing. We don't call the machine.
Oh, they don't?
Well, we don't say the machine to a credit card. We don't call it the machine. We would, if anything, we're like, do you have a credit card machine? But like you guys call it the machine, which is a very unusual.
That's funny.
There's machines everywhere. The car's a machine.
Yeah. Well,
the record player, no. The machine for you guys means the credit card machine.
Well, the machine means it could be a car or whatever, but in a restaurant context, the machine is that.
Yeah.
And we also
not
call
a microwave. Not 1,000 other machines in the store. It's the credit card thing.
Because it's called the credit card machine, so we take out we shortened it. And also in Canada, we call it an ATM. We call it a bank machine. And when I moved here, people were like, "Because this guy, he has an American accent. Why is he He's an alien just figuring this out. Why is he
It's
saying
a machine.
Why is he saying bank machine?
Walk around those traffic pylons.
It's so funny to think
Cones?
about because it makes perfect sense as a Canadian. You say, "Where's the bank machine?" But in America, they've never heard anyone say bank machine.
It's correct, but it's odd.
But it just
Same with the machine for a credit card machine. It's correct, but it's very odd.
And we say bathroom, and you guys say restroom.
Restroom, yeah, which are both incorrect.
So I just go, "Where's the bathroom?" People would be
toilet.
like, "Where is?" They'd be like, "The restroom."
We're like, "Well, I'm not resting." We're like,
I
"Well,
guess
you're
I'll
not
go.
bathing either."
I'll go have a nap under this.
Were you gonna go bathe in the public toilet in this
Yes,
McDonald's?
I bathe. I wash my face.
But it was good to see him, and he looks good. The limp is not super pronounced.
Good. It's better.
I
Good.
feel like it's better.
We've been working on heel toe, and he hates that I've been talking to him about that.
The one thing that really stuck out to me, and take this for what it's worth, is you're going to have to figure out a way to, and I don't know how, nothing jumps out at me, but create a feeling of control or independence that he feels like he's in control. Because he's a very cognizant or sensitive about being told what to do.
Yes.
And he's at an age where it's like, I kind of get it, because he's like
40.
He's a 40-year-old man. He's like, when do I decide anything? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's a tough one too. Because like the beers, I don't remember how many he had. He had 2 or 3 quick. He pounded them. So I was like, am I supposed to stop him if he goes to 4? It's lunch. He's a big boy. He's not like so like 2 is fine, and you're not driving, whatever.
Yeah.
3 is probably fine, but it's also not great. I mean, it's Tuesday at noon.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that, which is going to be an interesting. That's the next one you have to figure out.
Those scenarios, I'm like, he is not going out on Fridays and Saturdays and going to a bar.
This is his drinking.
This is his drinking.
Yeah.
This is his Saturday night.
Oh, he enjoyed.
Yeah.
So he doesn't smile.
No.
He's very serious, but I feel like he really enjoyed it. If that makes any sense.
He seemed really happy and smiled when he FaceTimed me later. He's like, I went with Kirk, and he was happy. He might have been a little drunk looking back on it now. But he has been.
But also, he's probably 230.
Yes.
230 pounds. So 2 beers is not like.
Yeah, he's 230 or 240. He used to be
a big boy.
But he.
I'm just saying he's not drunk. It's 2 beers. Yeah.
No, totally. And he's pretty good at following the 3's the limit, the rule that we sort of have.
Right. The funny thing for me on the outside is I'm not his dad. I'm not his brother. I'm a friend of a friend. Maybe I'm his friend. But it's an odd place to be like, do I tell him 3 is enough? Like, so.
Yeah.
Because he's an adult and he's 40 and he's got his own credit card.
Yeah, I think if you ordered a
card.
4th, you could say something and he'd be like, oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like that on his part because he should know better. And
but there was like
he's good
3
at it.
things specifically was like, well, you don't have to tell this to Graham. You don't have to tell this to Graham.
Yeah.
Which is code for, I don't need you to follow up on this. I'm fine. That's your next thing you're going to have to figure out. How do you make him feel independent, like he's making choices and he's... Because what did we talk about? We talked about the DVD players. And he goes, yeah, I haven't seen that, but I'm waiting to see that one until later because I don't want to watch it because maybe I'll get too tired of it and watch it too many times. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good with things like that. But then it's like, what does he do all day? I'm always wondering what he's like. I'm like, what do you do? What are you doing? I talked to him today, and I'm like, what are you going to do?
From noon to 6.
And he's like, I'm going to go check the mail in 2 hours. Go downstairs and check to see if there's any mail.
And then what?
And then I'm like, oh. And he's like, well, then I'll make dinner, and then I'll be wind down time.
But I think that's the hard part. You're going to find something for him to feel purpose or like it's his decision. He's deciding. He's doing it.
Yeah.
As crazy as this sounds, like some sort of like, I wonder if he'd be fulfilled doing some sort of like community service kind of thing. I don't know. Even like picking up garbage or something.
Yeah, he does pick up garbage in my parents' condo area. He picks up garbage once a week. It's one of his jobs. He's pretty good at it. But yeah, maybe somewhere else you could do that too. You could meet people. I don't want him hanging out with a bunch of criminals though.
No, but like if we're just talking. But if he's like, yeah, on my block from this street to this street, I walk out every morning 10 to 11. I pick up the garbage.
Oh, just without an organization, just
without an organization, gloves and Dave Sedaris, the author.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah, something like that.
He wanted a medal for me. Like his county in England gave him a medal.
But I mean, it's fun. He's an odd guy. I love his books, but he's clearly an odd guy. I've seen interviews. He's clearly a struggling or frustrated stand-up. But it's still community service. It's still providing value to the community. It's still so. Even if it was like a block, it's like I go out every day from 10 to 11, and I pick up garbage. And he picks up 6 cans and a cup. Okay. I mean, I don't know. He's going to have to find something that, like, it's his call. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. That's actually a nice idea.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That he could do on his own. He's got all the time in the world.
He's a strong fella. He's very good exercise.
His body works good.
Yeah.
I put on my gloves, and I pick up the garbage, and I put it in the trash, throw the gloves in the garbage.
Yeah. How's JJ doing?
Good. He's doing pretty good. We're struggling with. I say good instinctively.
Thanks again for spending time with him. That's very nice of you.
Oh, it was great. It's my heart goes out for him because he's clearly looking for something to own, something that's his.
Yeah.
Whether that's a relationship with that might be beyond him, but maybe some sort of little job or like I don't know. He was like, "You want to see my Star Wars collections?" Like I wasn't sure how your parents I don't know if your parents want me to his house. I'm like, "Oh, we'll do it next time," because I wasn't sure.
They wouldn't care. They'd be happy.
But I was like, yes. I'm like, oh.
What are they
and
worried
at the time, I was like, I don't know. I just didn't want your parents to feel like I don't know, just showing up.
You've been to my parents' house. I
know, but he's like his own person, and I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, you also have your own life, and you had your.
I said I'd go next time. I said I'll run it by. Well, I think I said I'll run it by by Graham and that was another thing. He's like, well, he doesn't. Basically, he's like.
He's an adult. He can invite friends. He's an adult. He can invite friends over, and.
Yes, that's one of the things he's kind of like. Yeah.
And it's true. Anyway.
Oh, JJ. So he's going through some like little behavioral issues we're having with him with just he's bless you. He's getting upset about some things, and it's hard to know because he's nonverbal, so it's really hard to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Summers in Sweden, Swedish summer, people go on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
So his staff, they're going on vacation, so they're rotating through, and they'll have people and he does not like anybody new. He likes his people.
Mm-hmm.
He likes his people.
Mm-hmm.
So he had an absolute meltdown over a snack that he wanted. And he's about 240. He's a big man, so it's not like he doesn't need the food. It's not like not starving him. He's a giant man. We have a call every day at 2 my time, and 8 o'clock his time. He gets a snack, and then he takes his medication. And when he eats that snack, he's like eating like he's prison rules. Like he eats as fast as he can, like we're about to take it away from him. So he just loves food. That's his thing. So he had a thing where he headbutted the wall, and he had like a big scratch on he's all scuffed up, and so I don't know. That stuff bums me out. You know what I mean? It's like when he gets upset over kind of nothing.
It's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah.
Especially when he's physically hurt, that must make you
he
crazy.
Does it to himself. He gets so upset.
Yeah.
And that's another reason we lose staff too.
Yeah.
They're half his size. They don't want to get hurt. It's middle-aged ladies. They're like, I don't want to get headbutted in the face by a giant man.
Yeah.
Because he does this like Maori kiss where you touch foreheads, and when he gets upset, he does it a little too hard. So yeah. But I see him next week. Is that right? I fly out. I got a couple 2 days on a ship, and then I fly straight from there. I get off in Dover, I think, the cliffs of Dover, and then I think I fly to Sweden from there. Yeah, then I'm there a week in Sweden. I'm excited.
You don't sound excited.
It's funny, I go over there. I do at least a month a year over there with him. It's emotionally hard. It's not relaxing.
Yeah.
And it's fun-ish, but it can be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I my heart goes out to you, buddy.
But it'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it won't. It's just life. His car's doing good.
The old car's doing well, huh? Yeah. Kirk bought a car for the facility, specifically for his son, but the facility's allowed to use it.
Car's doing good. It's an old 20-year-old Suzuki, and his body's doing okay. We're trying, some, Speaking of bodies, this is a subject we've covered a few times about stool samples. Well, not stool samples. Gut biome.
Yes,
biome.
being a marker for autism,
Yeah.
and this is the latest update. And this is I think we've talked about it 3 or 4 times in the past year.
Well, we talked about it once about 3 or 4 years ago. The first one, the fecal transplants, where they put them in blenders and stuff.
Yeah, and then they put it into your stomach.
Well, they mix it up and then
they mix it up. They take good gut,
healthy people's
guts and biome or whatever, and then they put it in a blender, and then they deposit it
with a tube
so you don't into your stomach, and then the good bacteria takes over from the bad bacteria and can help you in an innumerable amount of ways. Like, it can also help not cure autism, but help with a lot of the symptoms.
I think this is the future.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about the connection between the gut and the brain and how much, you almost have 2 brains they talk about.
Anyway, children, this is from the New York Times. I subscribe, so you guys don't have to.
You're better than me. I get it.
Children with autism carry unique gut flora, study finds. The research which builds on previous work eventually may lead to a more objective diagnostic tool, scientists said. The process for diagnosing a child with autism heavily relies on a parent's description of their child's behavior and a professional's observations. It leaves plenty of room for human error. Parents' concerns may skew how they answer questionnaires. Providers may hold biases, leading them to underdiagnose certain groups. Children may show widely varying symptoms depending on factors like culture and gender. A study published, and we know that females are they're better at hiding it, so they get diagnosed less. And we know that black children get diagnosed less. A study published Monday in Nature, and that, by the way, that's not part of the article. That's from other studies we've read or other articles we've read on this podcast.
And it's not just black people. We talk about basically people of color.
People of color, yeah. A study published Monday in Nature Microbiology bolsters a growing body of research that suggests an unlikely path to more objective autism diagnoses: the gut microbiome. After analyzing more than 1,600 stool samples from children ages 1 to 13, I'd love to have that job, researchers found several distinct biological markers in the sample of autistic children. Unique traces of gut bacteria, fungi, viruses, and more could one day be the basis of a diagnostic tool, said Qi Su, a researcher at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and a lead author of the study. A tool based on biomarkers could help professionals diagnose autism sooner, giving children access to treatments that are more effective at a younger age, he said. Too much is left to questionnaires, said Sarkis Matsmanyan, a microbiome researcher at the California Institute of Technology. If we can get to something we can measure, whatever it is, that's a huge improvement. For decades, researchers have scoured the human genome, medical histories, and brain scans for a reliable indicator of autism spectrum disorder with limited success. The Food and Drug Administration has approved 2 diagnostic tests based on eye tracking software, which Dr. Su said required significant involvement from a psychiatrist. We've talked about that.
Yep.
In the last 15 years, some researchers have started investigating whether stool, which is a window into the trillions of fungi, bacteria, and viruses living in intestines, might offer a clearer answer. Until now, most of those studies relied on small groups and often produced mixed results. This idea that the gut microbiome might play a role in the development of autism is still controversial among researchers, said Gasper Taroncher Oldenburg, a microbiologist who's published a landmark paper in the subject last year. He called Monday's paper one of the largest studies of its kind, an important milestone in the broader acceptance of the line of research. There is a changing of the winds, he said. People are now accepting that the microbiome is not just part of this, but it might be a fundamental piece of the puzzle. In the new study, the research used machine learning to identify major biological differences between the stool of autistic children and other samples. Unlike the past studies, which have focused mainly on intestinal bacteria, the researchers broadened their scope to look at more microorganisms in the gut, including fungi, archaea, and viruses. What is that? Archaea.
I don't know.
Archaea. Anyway, and related metabolic processes. The scientists identified 31 biological signatures that distinguish the groups. I'm going to look it up. A domain of prokaryotic microorganisms. Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, thanks. It's a domain of single-celled organisms. These microorganisms lack cell nuclei and are therefore prokaryotic.
Huh.
Archaea.
I don't subscribe, so I'm not reading along, friends. So I have no idea.
Yeah, all right. Blah, blah, blah. Then in an entirely new group of samples, they checked whether those markers could be used to correctly identify which stool samples belonged to someone with autism. Dr. Su and the model made the correct predictions almost all of the time. But Dr. Su and Dr. Taroncher Oldenburg cautioned that it was difficult to say whether stool sample tests would function as well in a clinical setting. More research is needed to convince skeptical scientists that these biomarkers are valid indicators of autism. Dr. Mazmanian, who is not involved in the new paper, said he wanted to see studies clarifying exactly how microbiome was related to autism and whether it played a significant role in causing ASD. Some researchers argue that the direction of this relationship goes the other way. Autistic children are more likely to be fussy eaters, changing the makeup of their microbiome. Dr. Su said the study's model also needs to be validated in a more diverse sample of children. Most of the samples come from children in Hong Kong. The current study is only a start in a long journey, he said. Well, Kirky, what do you say? What do you think?
Oh, that last line is their last paragraph. Is what I was thinking. I wonder if it's chicken or egg. So, like, do they have unusual gut biomes? Because, for example, do they not eat yogurt? So if you don't eat yogurt, you're not having these kind of whatevers. Or do they only eat this kind of chicken nuggets because they only have a certain kind of gut biome, so they're only able to process certain things. Their body like craves certain kind of foods. So, but I just like the idea. So what happens, it feels like to me, is when there's news, it gets picked up by multiple outlets. And so the Guardian
aggregated.
Yeah. And so the Guardian in the UK picked up something very similar, and the title is Autism Could Be Diagnosed with a Stool Sample, and it talks about the same article, not same, but it's very similar. It cites the same scientists, but the idea being, instead of trying to figure it out, you know, with questionnaires, which are very biased, but depending on how the mother feels. Is your child good at eye contact? And the mom, like, you know, pulling for their child, like, yeah, he's okay. Is he okay, or do you love him? So you're saying he's okay and he's terrible at it. Versus if you just did a sample and they go, yeah, statistically we find that people that are missing these things are probably on the spectrum. Then you can figure it out when the kid's 2 or 3, when it's hard, when a lot of kids don't speak well. So it would help get the help earlier. To me, I think this is one of these obvious things that's going to be, or it's one of these things that in hindsight is going to be obvious in the future. I think it's going to be fairly easy to diagnose it based on gut bacteria. And,
I agree.
And we used to have plenty of fecal samples in our house to send in.
Sure.
On the walls, and he'd stick his hand in one of his bed, put it on the floor, and then wipe his hands on the walls. Terrific. We used to call it a little poo-poo Picasso.
Ah, boy.
Yeah, it was exciting times. Exciting times.
Well, everybody, that's been another episode of Autastic.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it, Kirk. Good to see you again, pal.
Great to see you, buddy. What do you got coming up?
Oh, I got some shows for you, folks. I'm going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, at Planet of the Tapes on July 19th and 20th. July 19th and 20th, Louisville, Kentucky. And then I'm going to be in London, doing a show.
Ontario, I assume.
No. I'm going to be in London, England, actually.
Ooh.
That's right. I'm going to be doing my show. I got to figure out what the date is of that. And then I'm going to be doing the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. That's the big one. I'm going to do the Edinburgh Comedy Festival from July 31st until August 26th at the Gilded Balloon. And I want you to come.
Nice venue. I mean, for Edinburgh.
Yeah, thanks. How about you, buddy?
I'm mostly doing ships. I had some Autastics come out to the shows in Canada. And I appreciate every one of you that came out. They brought me, I don't know what this says about me, but one lady bought me a T-shirt, a cut-off T-shirt with no sleeves. It says, has a battery, and it says Canada Power. And then I got some Canada hats some people brought me, and I had a great time up there. I've got Europe this summer. I'll be on a number of different ships, the Carnival Legend, the NCL Epic, and then kind of bouncing around. I don't have a lot of land days. I've got some New York stuff coming up, but it's all on my Instagram. You can do me a big favor, guys, and add me on Instagram. It helps my algorithm. It helps me be able to pitch myself to comedy clubs and say, look, all these people want to see my comedy, Kirk Smith comedy. Also, if you follow my YouTube, Kirk Smith comedy as well, that would really help me out.
Okay, bye.
Have a great week, guys. You can do it.